We're down in the south of Ireland today, just a few miles from Cork, to see a boat from Safehaven Marine. Now that is a company that's built its reputation on the basis of some really serious offshore commercial craft. We're talking about everything from crew transfer vessels and search and rescue boats to patrol boats and pilot boats and military vessels. Basically boats designed to take professional mariners in comfort and safety across some absolutely vicious seas. Now they've turned their hand to the world of leisure on a couple of occasions too. First with a high-performance wave piercer known as the XSV-17, and secondly with an even more capable cat monohull hybrid known as the XSV-20. But while these were both adapted from commercial underpinnings for leisure use, this new 70-footer is the first purpose-built leisure boat ever to emerge from the yard. And just look at it, the narrow beam, the surface piercing props, the hydrofoil, a fine wave piercing entry with acutely contoured spray rails, the elevated bridge deck, the cutaway section at the leading edge of the foredeck, and the compact low slung flybridge. It absolutely screams zero compromise performance. So we're delighted to say that we've got the chance to take this absolute weapon of a boat out on the water to see exactly what she's all about. Well, the big moment's arrived. We're finally at the helm of this boat, and if you're kind of a fan of what this company has done in the past, you'll probably already have seen a couple of videos online of this boat in a force 10, force 11 gale with 25-foot swells off here. And we know that it performs. We've seen that. This is not that kind of day. We've got very light winds. We've got virtually no sea state. So we're giving it a far gentler test in that regard, but it's still a bit of a performer, you've got to say. So in the engine bay we've got a pair of MAN V12 1550s, which should be good for around about 50-52 knots. You can ramp that up to 2000s apparently, which will bring you closer to 60 knots at the top end. But if you're not into your surface drives, then you can also spec this boat with IPS drives or with jets or with conventional shaft drives. Either way, the helm position is a bit of a treat. Now I was looking at this and I was thinking, well, the wheel is not adjustable, and apparently it can't be because of the hydraulic systems used for the steerage here. But this seat moves up and down, it goes forwards and backwards. It comes with a couple of armrests. One of those armrests includes this commercial style joystick and your autopilot, so actually it's a tremendously comfortable position to be in, whether that's adjustable or not. And it's extremely high spec too. This is very well arranged. Now, you know, it's not just workmanlike. We've got more of these angles trimmed as you'd expect, with more of that stainless steel. We've got grab handles everywhere you look. Plenty of carbon fibre detailing here. Plenty of space too for 4 16-inch plotters. So it's not just about me, you know, my partner, my colleague, they can stay involved over here on the starboard seat. And of course, where do you want to be if you're a keen driver on a proper offshore performance boat? Well, you want to be bang in the centre of the deck, and that's exactly where we are. Now, as intimated before, we've got some pretty substantial mullions here, so they do restrict your visibility a bit. But that's part of what gives this boat its structural integrity. It's part of what enables us to go offshore and use the big seas, enjoy the big seas that we've seen these guys enjoy on YouTube before now. So I have no complaints there whatsoever. It makes you feel nice and safe. But big though this dash panel is, big though this helm station is, it's quite low level. So visibility in that regard is excellent. None of that obscures my view of those raised bows or of the sea state or of the two interacting. But what we want to do, of course, is get her underway. So that's exactly what we'll do now. Now, in my experience of surface piercing props, well, I've not been that impressed with them. There's loads of fannying about getting up on the plane and staying there. Quite a lot of fannying about with manoeuvring too. But they've been quite clever at Safehaven Marine. They've introduced some ventilation ducts. So paradoxically, by introducing air to those props, which are not designed to be fully submerged, you actually get a lot more grip, and you can see that here already. We're doing 35 knots, and we could have gotten there a lot quicker than we did. What's equally interesting though is the fact that if we go through from 1250 RPM to about 1500 RPM, well, what we do is go from about 14 to 15 knots right through to 28, because that's the kind of pace, there's the kind of revs at which the hydrofoil kicks in, gives us that extra lift and gives us that extra efficiency. So rather than running at 12 litres per nautical mile at that higher speed, 28 knots, we're running at about 8.4, 8.5 litres per nautical mile. Now, as I say, we've got a pair of 5,000 litre tanks on board this boat, so saving 20% redundancy, 8,000 litres to play with. So at that 28 knots, we got a range approaching 1,000 nautical miles. And if I push on again, right through to around about 45 knots, well, at that kind of pace, we're still only drinking a combined total of 10 litres per nautical mile. So we still have an 800 mile range. And even if we push right on towards the very top end of 52 knots, even there we're just looking at 12 litres per nautical mile. So we still have a range in the region of 650 miles. And for a 70 footer, that really is quite extraordinary. What else I particularly enjoy here, and dyed-in-the-wool monohull fans will probably agree with me, is that when you fire into a turn, the fact that we've got that hydrofoil and that relatively moderate beam means that rather than heeling out, which can feel a little bit scary to some people, we actually heel into the turn, which feels far, far more natural. And if you want to be able to play with the trim, if you want to adjust that pitch in accordance with the sea state, and let's face it, this is a serious offshore boat, an explorer vessel, then you need to, well, you can do exactly that, no problem at all. You can do that by one of two means. You can either drop those drives just to dig the nose in, or lift the drives just to create a huge rooster tail and just to add a few extra knots at the very top end. Or of course you can use your tabs, and they really are very quick to act on this boat. We're doing what, 36 knots now, and if I want to just drop that bow in, just drop those tabs a little bit, and you can see immediate reaction from those bows. We're pinning that nose, and if you're running into an angry head sea and that head sea is trying to elevate your bow and cause you to get lots of air, well, this is a supremely effective way to counteract that. As for the comfort on a longer passage, well, as I say, the environment here at the Helm is very comfy. The fact that we've got a dinette and some companion seating over there that's relatively raised so you can see forward when you're a long passage, well, that's particularly important as well. The fact that I'm knocking out a massive rooster tail, well, that's weirdly satisfying for me. I know my mates would all be extremely impressed with that. And actually the refinement's pretty good too. For most cruising speeds, we're seeing around about 75 to 78 decibels, which is fine on a long cruise, just to chat to your friends and your family. It's only once you push beyond around about 45 knots that the noise really increases, and that's not engine noise. in spite of those long engine bays, what that is water kicking up against the bridge deck from that hydrofoil. But such are the efficiency gains from the hydrofoil that that's certainly a compromise you're going to be happy to make. As I step away from the helm, I feel like it's important to contextualise what we've just witnessed on this boat, because as I say, this is a 70-foot boat, a flybridge equipped motor cruiser with a 20-foot beam, and yet we've just been flying along out there at 52 knots, and with a different engine configuration you could get much closer to 60 knots. And then there's the efficiency. Now, in the broader 70-foot flybridge cruiser market, you'd expect to be drinking at least double the fuel at around about 36 to 38 knots. And then there's the way this boat drives. You know, there are so many modern power cats on the current market that prioritise volume at the expense of all other things, and they drive in exactly that fashion. You have to cruise along at 9 knots. They're fairly tedious in terms of their handling. This is the exception to that rule. This is a serious driver's boat. It's tremendous fun from the helm. And that's not to say that it's not without its compromises. Every boat has its compromises. This, for instance, lacks the volume that the broader, more conventional market will deliver around about 70 feet. And as the demonstrator, as boat number 1, you could say there are also a few bits and bobs here and there to tidy up and to finish off. But if you find yourself slightly bored by the pedestrian power cats of the modern market, well, this new T-2000 Voyager from Safehaven Marine is likely to come as something of a revelation.